So these are monarch caterpillars, and this is swamp milkweed. We planted this as part of a monarch way station, a pollinator patch, provide food for monarchs and other pollinators as part of a project we call DPR Digs In, a Arlington County staff volunteer event, team building and so forth, but with purpose. And in this case, it was to build habitat. And boy, did it work. We have a beautiful meadow we've reestablished with all sorts of different kinds of things now flowering. I mean, you can see just beautiful things all through there. You know, the yellow ones, tick-seed sunflower. We have wing stem, the yellow stuff back in here. Of course, this is already bloomed. Lion's foot. Just all sorts of neat little things. But we, of course, included milkweeds for the monarchs, and it worked great. Now, granted, some of these milkweeds are being fed upon pretty heavily, but look at the monarchs. There's monarchs there. I mean, there are, you can see something's eating this one. So there's probably monarchs. Well, they already finished. Oh, here they are. They're down here. We have two monarchs there. Here's yet another monarch over here. And though they prefer common milkweed, we provided this swamp milkweed, which is also a fairly good pollinator plant. And guess what? The monarchs coming through on migration to Mexico have made plenty use of it. Now, monarchs do migrate. They're one of our migratory butterflies, along with buckeyes and so forth. This is a one-way migration. These monarchs, which are probably the fourth or fifth generation removed from the ones that came up from Mexico. So they've never been to Mexico. They came back, and in generation after generation kept going further north and further north until they finally reached up in Canada, and now they're flying back, and along the way they're reproducing. This is the last generation. The last generation is physically a lot stronger. The last generation is able to live 5 or 6 times as long as the other ones. It's almost like a different animal, but it is a monarch. And that generation of monarchs then goes and somehow finds their way back into Mexico, where they've never been before. Go to these Oyamel fur forests where they can stay there in groups, and the temperature and conditions are just right that they can overwinter and go into what's called diapause. They basically stop developing for a while until the following spring, and then start the journey all over again. So interesting, they can find their way back even though they've never been to the original place. So a wonderful, neat thing. So milkweeds, and we plant them, and they provide great flower value as well for a lot of pollinators. But about 12 species of butterflies feed on them. This is just, I should say 12 species of moths and butterflies. Up here we don't have as many. Down south they got queens and sulfurs and other, queens and soldiers and other kinds of species. They're milkweed plants feeding butterflies. But here we don't have as many. So we have monarchs though, and milkweed tussock moths and a couple of other ones. But a neat little thing, and I'm so happy that we were able to plant this garden, not a garden but a meadow, restore it from being all invasives, and now it is providing just absolutely great habitat for monarch caterpillars. We've really done what we wanted to do, and that was build this garden, build this meadow, restore it to being a productive patch for all sorts of pollinators. But it's already been certified as a monarch way station, part of Arlington County's monarch pledge that we made, one of many cities to pledge that we would do things for pollinators and specifically monarchs, and it's working great. Great to know that our volunteer efforts, in this case led by staff, can work to really do a positive impact. And here's the proof right here. All sorts of animals living here. And the one I'm showing you right now is, of course, one of the direct beneficiaries. I am showing you that the monarch butterflies made use of our native plants, because we only planted locally native plants, and these little monarchs now will soon make their chrysalis and continue their journey down to Mexico. And we provided what they needed for them to go. You see there's reproducing. You see some of those little dots are frass, that's their poop. So they do eat the milkweed, but they don't kill it. You know, makes no evolutionary sense to kill the one thing you need to survive, and they do need things in the milkweed family. Doesn't have to be Asclepias, doesn't have to be like this one, Asclepias incarnata, the swamp milkweed, but it does have to be in the milkweed family. And they prefer common, but they will use the swamp milkweed, as is proved here. What a wonderful thing that we've actually been able to accomplish, and I'm really happy that Arlington County saw this as a worthwhile volunteer effort.